Okay, that was really weird. I have no idea what the device it had set as my audio device. Something I didn't really recognize, but looks like we're good now. I'm getting audio bars in there. Okay, so everything I've said so far was not heard by anyone. That's great. Um, but basically, I'm working on. All good now. Nice. Yeah, basically, I'm working on obstacle avoidance for the HyperNav library. This is implementing initially just the velocity obstacle algorithm to enable this spherical agent to navigate around this spherical obstacle, and then I will move towards more complex cases, such as having this obstacle be moving, and then eventually having this obstacle be another agent that responds to this agent, so they have to kind of coordinate together. But anyway, we are starting by simply finding the velocity obstacle for this agent moving against this destination, which is going to be the Minkowski sum of these two spheres, or since they're spheres, simply just a sphere that has actually it has like the sum of the two radii. Oh, is it? It's not the radius, is it? It's the radius of this sphere plus the diameter of this sphere, I think. So, okay, this sphere has a radius of 1. This sphere has a radius of 1/2. So and a diameter of 1. So okay, this thing actually needs to be 4 so that it has a radius of 2. Oops. Reset position is what I want. Okay. So let's see, let's calculate the velocity obstacle radius equals my radius times 2 plus obstacle radius. Is that true? Because it feels weird. I think the velocity obstacle is supposed to be like the same for both shapes. Okay, well, this is great. I'm already a little bit stuck. Let me do a little bit of drawing. Not paint, I want paint.net. Alright, so I have this sphere. Will just be circles for now in 2D. This circle. Now say that the reference is here. The Minkowski sum is going to be approximately this location. So if we have this location plus this location, it's going to be something like this. If we have this location, you know what? I'm going to simplify again. We want the reference to be at the center of one object, and the other object is over here. So, how was my day? It's pretty good so far. You know, just a nice quiet Saturday. Spent part of the morning just researching what I'm going to do here. trying to understand all the math behind it, which I did to some extent, but you know, you can see I'm still getting stuck here. But yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How are you? Anyway, okay, so in this top left case, let's say that we have this vector plus the vector all the way to the top left of here. So in that case, it's going to be this. Now, this vector to the top left of here is going to be this, which is already inside that, so that doesn't matter. This vector to the bottom of here is also going to be inside this vector. Okay, so I think that I was right initially. Assuming the origin is in the center of this object, I just have to expand every point on this object by the value on this object. Okay. Because, yeah, and it's going to be the same for out here. All right. Let's come back here. Okay, so none of this times 2 nonsense. And I'm going to shrink this back down to 3. So it now has the radius of 1.5, which is the sum of the two radii. Not exactly a new game dev. I'm a professional game developer. I have like a actual job developing games. So this project that I'm working on is kind of just my hobby project, but it's been going on for quite a long time. I just don't have a huge amount of time to work on it. But yeah, I'm basically just trying to improve this asset both for my own game and for for the Unity asset. Also, I see I'm getting Steam notifications. I'm going to exit Steam so that those don't pop up on the screen here. Cool. So we got that figured out. Now, I think I actually want to delete this sum thing because that doesn't matter. Let's give this another color. Make it red. And then I'm just going to draw the velocity obstacle. Your dream is to be in a game dev job. Yeah, you know, it's fun. It can be a lot of work, and some companies, I've been lucky enough to be in a company that doesn't like really exploit employees or take advantage of people's passions, but that's something that definitely happens in the industry. So there's definitely problems with working in the industry, but it can be extremely rewarding when you find a good position. So I'm not going to like share the name of my company. I'm actually moving companies right now. I'm in a bit of a transition moment, but I've been until now working in like the mobile game space, which is something I'm moving out of into a different company. But in the streams and stuff, I kind of want to like keep it focused on what I'm doing here and not connect it too much with my work outside the streams. But yeah. So, yeah, as far as the streams are concerned, InfoHazard Games is my personal hobby name. It's not really a company yet. It doesn't exist in any legal sense, but maybe someday. For now, just working on Astral Horizon and trying to get it to the point where I can get it in front of other people. Medium company. Not big, medium, in the like hundreds. Low hundreds of employees. 1 second. All right. Let's get back to this. So we've got our velocity obstacle radius, and I want to draw some kind of visualization. So I'm going to do an on draw gizmos, and I'm going to just compute this again here, and gizmos.draw wire sphere at destination.position with vel obstacle radius. Interesting. Oh, not at destination, not position. We want at obstacle position. You want to make a game too? Nice. Well, you know, there's no time like the present to get started. I mean, obviously, like, you know, there's other commitments we have to deal with first when we're working on hobby projects. But yeah, I mean, if you want to make a game, I'd say start learning, start figuring out what you need to do, and just go for it. Start small, definitely, but work towards what you want to do. I'd say that Astral Horizon is kind of like the dream game that I want to build, at least right now, like at least within my own means. You know, there's more I would do if I had company behind me, but as a solo dev, they, you know, limited means and stuff. Need to get a PC. Yeah, I know. There is definitely the upfront like equipment cost and everything, so no, that makes sense. All right, so here now we need to raycast against this sphere. Don't remember if there is a thing built into Unity to do a simple sphere ray test. I think there is not. Okay, so I need a function that will basically take my current velocity, which, or my desired velocity in this case, which is just desired vel, and do a raycast from my current position to see if that intersects with the sphere with this radius. So feel like I already have something for this somewhere, but I don't know where it is, so I'm just going to try to get something in quickly. Okay, you know what I'm going to actually do is, for the purposes of the stream, I'm just going to write a really inefficient version of this and then edit it later. So let's see. Let's get a new image here. We have our origin, we have a circle here, and we need to see if this ray intersects with the circle. We have another ray here, and we can calculate the angle between them. Now there's going to be some ray here let's delete those. So we have that, and then there's some array that is tangent to the sphere and passes through our origin. These three lines form a triangle, or right triangle specifically, and we need to know this angle. So let's see. We know this distance, and we know this distance. We know this angle. So then I think we can use the law of cosine, I think, or is it law of sines here? Okay, yeah, it's the law of sine. So it's that A over sine A equals B over sine B. And so we know the two sides. So we can say x over sine 90 equals, wait, but isn't the sine of 90 0? No, the sine of 90 is 1. That equals r over sine of the desired angle. And in other words, the sine of the desired angle equals r over, r sine 90, and sine 90 is just 1. So we can just use r. We just cross that out. Over x. And yeah, actually, this is just simple trigonometry. I could have figured this out without the law of sine. That it looks like a happy Pac-Man. Yeah, it really does, doesn't it? Might as well just do that. Okay. Then the angle is inverse sine of r over x. Okay. So let's say that float min angle equals massive dot a sine of r. So r is going to be the distance between the two positions. So that's vector 3 dot distance between obstacle dot transform dot position. Just obstacle dot position, since it's already a transform now. And transform dot position over, oh no, it's r over x. So we do vel obstacle radius over that. Then we compute the actual angle. So vector 3 angle equals 3 dot angle. And then we're going to need this vector from self position to the other position. So let's just store that. To target equals destination dot position minus transform dot position. Then we can reuse that here. We can reuse that here with that's just dot magnitude, and we can use it here. So to target and desired velocity. Oh, this is not a vector 3, it's a float. So now we just say if min angle, or no, angle is less than min angle. This means that we are heading towards that sphere. Then we need to adjust our velocity. So we can say we need to rotate our desired velocity such that it will be on the edge of that sphere. So what's the best way to do that? I guess we could just take the angle difference and rotate it around the axis defined by these two vectors by that distance. So 3 axis equals, cross, do a cross product between the, I've got to make sure that this is the right one, so we're doing the right-hand rule, or left-hand rule, because Unity's left-handed, between, let's do from to target to desired vel. Then we need the angle difference equals angle minus minimum angle, right? Or no, min angle minus angle. Then we need to rotate it around that axis by this angle difference. Oh, and I'm realizing that this is, I'm going to deal with a radians versus degrees issue, so we need to do math dot 2 dot rad 2 degrees times that. All right, now everything else should be in degrees. Then we will say to target, no, not to target, desired vel equals vector 3 dot rotate, not rotate towards, just rotate. What? Is there not a vector 3 dot rotate? Okay, we're gonna have to do quaternion dot angle axis. Then the angle is angle diff, axis is axis, times desired vel. And that should do it. This is far from the most efficient way to calculate this, but in the interest of just having it work for the stream, I'm going to do this and then try to optimize it later. But let's see how this works. Actually, also let's make the dest visualized somehow. Okay, clearly it does not yet work because it had no avoidance whatsoever there. So let's see what's going on. So I mean, our to target has to be right because it is moving towards the target. The min angle is a sine of velocity, obstacle, radius, which is, I mean, this is right. It's 3 or whatever. Well, it's 1.5 divided by the distance from, oh, not, okay, I'm mixing up the, I need to obstacle equals obstacle dot position minus transform dot position. So the angle is going to be based on toObstacle. Wait, is it? Yes. Okay, and then desired val and target, this angle is always going to be 0. So what this actually needs to be is the angle between toTarget and toObstacle. Or actually, we don't want to use toTarget after we know desired val. Because the target is basically just for calculating the desired velocity. So now we cross the toObstacle vector with the desired velocity, which will hopefully not be the same. That is why I had to move the obstacle earlier, so it's a little bit offset from the center line. Eventually I'll need to have a special case for handling that. But for now, we're just going to not handle the special case. And then say desired val equals angle axis. Okay. Now let's try it. There we go. So it should... Okay, so it does seem to be reaching the destination, but it is avoiding it a little bit too much. So you can see here, it seems to be avoiding it by approximately twice the amount that it needs to. So, yeah, your dream game is going to be open world with inspiration from Horizon Zero Dawn, Shadow of the Colossus, and Zelda Breath of the Wild. Nice, yeah. That, any open world game is going to be a big project. So, I can tell you right off the bat that you're going to want to start with something much smaller than that. But that's not to say not to build the dream game, of course, because definitely you should work towards what you want to do. But, yeah, open world games are a whole other beast that I'm not going to be thankfully dealing with here. Everything in Astral Horizon is fairly closed off and linear-ish. But, you know, there's definitely cool stuff you can do with open worlds. I was a big fan of Elden Ring this year. So let's see if we can figure out why the angle it's deciding on is twice what it needs to be. So the min angle is val obstacle radius over then val obstacle radius is going to be 1.5. Then we take the arc sine of that over toObstacle dot magnitude, not square magnitude. Oh, wait. Angle is always going to be 0. This needs to be desired val. Surprised that worked as well as it did with a, if you got an earworm of rush E. Oh yeah, so see, that worked exactly as it needed to. So it should just be skimming the side of that and then coming back down. And then we probably want to have kind of a buffer radius as well. So I'm going to just add support for that right now. And then we will just add that to the thing here and here as well. For the buffer radius, let's make that 0.1. There we go. All right, so that's the most simple form of obstacle avoidance. But let's deal with the case where the obstacle is moving. So we're going to create a test obstacle. Hey, thanks for following. Put that here, and then I'm just going to do what's the simplest way to move this thing? I think I'm just going to have it loop back and forth between 2 points. I don't want it to move sinusoidally because this thing does somewhat depend on linear velocities, at least in the simple case. And since I want to go from simple to complex, we're going to start at the simplest version, which is just this thing is moving linearly. I suppose it can move with the magnitude of the sign. Let's try that. Or not the magnitude, the sign of the sign. The directionality of the sign. So let's just say update. Going to say public float move period. Float move distance. And I'm actually not going to use a sign. I'm just going to, and then we need 2 transforms. -1. So then we want to, oh, we don't actually need this move distance now because these define the distance that we're going to move. So we just need to say, let's see, float t equals time.time mod move period. And then let's actually do that move period times 2. Then divide that by move period. So that's going to create a kind of a graph that looks like this, like triangular waves, where this distance is the period. Then initially this would also be the period, but we're scaling it down by that, so then this just turns into 1. Then, oh, and actually, yeah, I don't think we do want this to be times 2. We just want that. Then, if t, oh, then we want to divide it by move period. All right. Oh, okay, so yeah, this is that's not going to give us what I have here. That's going to give us this kind of sawtooth pattern. So then what I want to do is, if it's in the first half of the move period, I want basically this thing to be 1. So I'm going to divide it by move period over 2. And then if the resulting value is greater than 1, then I'm going to do 2 minus that value. T equals 2 minus t. Then I think that should give this pattern. Then we can just say transform.position equals math.lerp dest1 dest2 t. Oh, this is vector3.lerp. All right. So let's say make the move period 2, then make the 2 targets. So move point 1, we will reset that, pull it up here, move the other one down here. Oops, obstacle. Okay, so what will this look like when it's moving is it's going to be doing some weird jittery stuff, and eventually it can't really avoid that obstacle. I do wonder if the obstacle is moving too fast for it to avoid it, but let's ignore that fact for now and then just see how it works. So the main issue now is that the avoidance is not taking the volume velocity into the obstacle's velocity into effect. So let's keep track of obstacle last position. So then we can say float obstacle speed equals obstacle dot position minus obstacle last position over time dot delta time. Not speed, we want the velocity. And then obstacle last position equals obstacle dot position. Now, to deal with this obstacle velocity, we just need to work in the obstacle's frame of reference. So in that case, the desired velocity in the obstacle's frame of reference is going to be this minus the obstacle vel. So we can do all these calculations in the obstacle's frame of reference, imagining the obstacle as being stationary. Then out here we can just say desired velocity plus equals obstacle velocity to bring it back into the global frame of reference. All right, let's see how that works. That actually worked. It wasn't always moving at its own speed, though. So, yeah, I'm wondering why it was able to slow down. I guess if it can rotate the velocity in the obstacles frame of reference, that does not correspond to rotating it within its own frame of reference. You're going to sleep? Nice, yeah, thanks for tuning in. I hope that you're able to work on your game soon and that all goes well, and I hope to see you again soon. Yeah, again, thanks for tuning in and thanks for following. Anyway, now, okay, so I need to figure out how I can limit the velocity in the global frame of reference. I don't need a minimum velocity. I can keep... It can get as low as it needs to. But I do need a maximum global velocity. And if I slow it down globally, it will not necessarily be outside the obstacle zone. Okay, let me take a look at my this paper I'm looking at for a second to see how they did it. Okay, so let's see. I have, oops. So my position, I have an obstacle. Let's say the obstacle is moving this direction, but I'm not imagining the obstacle as having velocity. I'm just imagining there being this inherent negative component to my velocity. So then, okay, so then I'm rotating. Okay, then I have my desired velocity, which is like this. So here's my total let's see, what I have is my desired velocity. So I'm rotating this vector such that it doesn't intersect with this. But what I really want to do is rotate this vector from this point. But the problem is this isn't a single point. This thing can scale. So let's say, okay, my circle of acceptable velocities is this. And this is my desired velocity. So I have to figure out where I can rotate this vector such that this vector does not hit the target. And this is kind of a bad drawing because in this situation, I'm not actually going to hit the target. So let's actually undo all of this and draw a scenario where I am going to hit the target. So here's the target. The target is moving this way, and my destination is here. So if I go straight towards the target, I am going to hit the obstacles, and then my desired velocity is this in the global reference frame. That's a bit too long. Let's just call it this. So around the target velocity, my range of vectors is this, and this is the one that I desire, which is indeed going to hit the sphere, which would make my desired velocity this. Oh wait, no. So that's not going to hit the sphere. Is that right? I guess this, yeah, it looks like in this drawing the sphere is moving a lot faster than me, so we can't have that. Let's say I am indeed moving faster than the sphere. So my possible velocity vectors is this circle, and in this case my final velocity vector points up directly into the sphere. Okay. So this is a reasonably accurate, just poorly drawn visualization of what I'm working with. And I need to find the vector on this sphere such that this vector doesn't hit the target. So there are two kind of sides. There's these. I need my direction to be outside of these two. So then that means I need to compute the intersections of this sphere, my velocity sphere, possible velocity sphere, with the, this is going to be a circle in 3D. The kind of circle of directions I can go in. And then find the one that is closest to my desired velocity, which is this. So actually that sphere, sorry, that circle is incorrect. It's actually more like, it's like this. Because it is where this sphere intersects this cone. And I guess it's not necessarily a circle, it's more of an oval shape. Because it's a big oblong. But it is where, yeah, it's where this vector, the vector from here to here, is closest to my desired velocity. Or I guess you could also say where this vector is closest to this vector. That'll actually be easier. Yeah, actually this should be fairly easy now that I think about it. Because I'm just rotating this vector, which is this vector, to the edge of this circle, or this ellipse. Let's make something in Blender here so I can visualize this in 3D. Okay, so that's far away from the origin. Now let's see, is there a let's edit this arrow. We'll say this is 2, so this represents that my velocity in the sphere's frame of reference is -2, meaning the sphere is moving 2 this way. Then we need to create a sphere again. X2, -2. Ooh, S2. We probably need this sphere to be transparent. Let's not render it. I need to go to material preview. And make a material here. Set this to not alpha clip, alpha blend. And drop that alpha to out here. Turn on backface culling. Okay, so now this sphere is, yeah, I do want to save this. Let's put, I'll probably do a video about this at some point in the future, so I'm just going to save it in this videos folder right off the bat. Then I also need a cone. which represents the cone from the origin to this sphere. Then, all right. Oops. Should have two, right? Oh no, that's the material. We want this cone to be transparent as well, so we'll just use that material. All right. So we have a circle, not a circle, an oval. Let's go ahead and compute the union of these two shapes. Or add modifier. Maybe I just want the intersection. Boolean intersect with this thing. And then, oops, I'll apply that. We only need that, so we can delete everything else. And then we want to have this use a default material. Okay. So basically, we want to find a point on the... Well, first of all, we want to find... Oh, and we don't care about that. We only care about the edge. So is this actually an ellipse? Because it's looking a little bulgy, but I think that might just be because of low resolution geometry. I probably should have bumped up the vertices a lot. So actually we're going to delete this and add a new sphere. Radius 3, segments 128, 64. Let's make it even bigger, actually. Let's make it 256 by 128. So it's a very smooth sphere. Then we're going to do the same thing for this. Okay, now vertices we will do 128. Okay. Now, this should show us that the intersection between these is not an ellipse. It's some other weird shape. Okay, so this just got harder. control times. Forget how to reset this. Then for this join thing, I want to apply that Boolean. Why are there two spheres here now? Oh, because I duplicated it, maybe? Whatever. Oh, it's because I had the wrong thing selected when I did the operation. That's what I wanted. Now the cone needs to be hops reset. And move back into collection. Then this guy needs to have the modifier applied. And I can delete all that. Okay. Then we want that to be solid. So how can we tell, what can we tell about this? We know that the center of it is the point where the axis of this cone intersects with this sphere. Right? Is it always going to be centered on the cone axis? I don't think it actually is centered there, but let's just... Yeah, because the more this moves towards the side, the more the axis is going to be basically at the side of this thing. Yeah, so I guess the easiest case is when this is in the middle, the enemy has, or the other agent has no velocity. And that's basically the case that I'm handling now. Also, I do need to consider the case where I'm trying to move up. and where this thing also has vertical velocity. No, stick to simple case for now. Forget all that stuff. Let's see. So in this shape, can I compute the center point? That's the point that's on this axis that intersects with the sphere. And I can compute the angle between these 2 points. And then can I compute the angle between this and the corners? Or rather, this and whatever corner this is closest to. I feel like I need to make this a bit faster. Let's make it 3 GX. So there. That to there. 3 is too much because it now is not going to hit the object. 2.9. Okay. So now we have, okay, the problem is now it's not going to hit the object, so I need to move the desired velocity such that it will, oh wait, no. Yeah. Hit it. Wait, then is this counting not right? Oh, no, it's this vector to here has to hit the sphere. So yeah, we're gonna do that. Say that's our desired velocity. Now I'll duplicate the sphere, select those, control times, oops, reset, and move to collection. Apply this. And yeah, now we have that thing. call that ring. Yeah, so this thing is definitely not a flat plane. It is a curved surface. And yeah, as long as our velocity vector is pointing anywhere on this surface, it will... So I guess this thing is the velocity obstacle in the space of this object. So this... Is this even an ellipse? No, I mean, it's not an ellipse. It's... I don't know how you would describe this shape. Is there any way to get... Just given a vector, I just want to get the nearest point on this shape. Alright, I'm gonna go use the bathroom real quick. I will be right back. Yeah. Okay. Now, one solution would just be to sample points along this thing, because we can easily sample, we can take points that are on this cone and figure out where they lie on the sphere. That would be the simplest way, but maybe not the most efficient. Let's see, what are other options? How could we do this geometrically? What if we take the vector from the origin to this point? So let's add an empty single arrow. So, let's see. Looking at this orthographically, from the view of the origin, we have a circle, but is it only a circle? No, because, yeah, no. I think that is always a circle, isn't it? Yeah, that's always a circle. So we're looking from the origin or from our position towards the target position. And there is a circle in our space. That either contains this vector or it does not. And if it contains this vector, then we just want to find the closest point on this circle and project it onto the surface of this sphere. So then this circle, we need to know the radius and the position of it. So the radius is going to depend on our maximum velocity and or our desired velocity, our maximum speed. Kind of the difference between these two velocity vectors. I want to make it clear to myself that these two vectors can be anywhere on this circle, and they can't be used to find the center of it. Let's see, what lengths do I know? This circle is going to be the radius of the cone at some distance. Now, can I know any of these distances? Let's see, the outermost distance, for example. So if I take this vector, which points to the edge of the velocity obstacle, and intersect it with this sphere, that will give me this point. Well, that will give me a point on this sphere. And if I just do the opposite, so I reflect this vector over the direction to the velocity obstacle, get the other side. So now I have two vectors that intersect the sphere at opposite points on the circle. With opposite points on the circle, I can easily find the circle's center and radius. Now, it is possible that these vectors will be the same, or that they won't exist at all. If they don't exist at all, wait, how do I calculate these? So oh, okay, no, these vectors will always exist. But their intersections with the sphere may not exist. So if the sphere, for example, was over here, then they would both intersect the sphere at the same point. Or if it was further away, they wouldn't intersect the sphere at all. That means that I don't have to worry about this, and I can just keep moving in my desired velocity, because it would be impossible for me to collide with this sphere. If it finds that circle, but the desired velocity is outside of it, then I can keep moving at the desired velocity, because that specific velocity will not help me collide with that sphere. Then, if there is, if it's inside the circle, then I know that, what do I know then? I know that I need to move it to the edge of the circle. I'm going to move it to the edge of the circle, and then find where that intersects the sphere. Okay. So now I think I know what I'm doing, and I just need to know how to go about implementing this. Now here's another possibility. Is there a case where my possible velocity is so low I mean, I guess I can just, go around it. So, well, no, my possible velocity is so low that I can't avoid a collision with the sphere. Let's say if the sphere is moving towards me, Oops. No, damn it. So that's there. So if the sphere is moving towards me very quickly, and I can only move a little bit. Let's hide this. No. Something wrong here? Because, like, seems like I'm fine no matter where I go. Because there isn't an intersection between... What am I doing wrong here? Okay, so I have this vector. This is my velocity in the sphere's reference frame. Then this vector, the vector from here to here, is my desired velocity in the sphere's reference frame. It's just seeming like I can't hit the sphere no matter what. I can't hit the target no matter what, but it's supposed to be a situation where the target will hit me no matter what. Oh, that's because... Never mind, because in this case I'm moving away from it. Right. Because this isn't the sphere's velocity, this is my velocity. So this needs to be the opposite of what it is. So in this case, okay, in this case, the sphere of my movement is completely contained within this cone. In which case I still want to move towards the outside of the cone. But what's going to be the circle in this case? I'm going to go from the origin to these points and find that they don't intersect the sphere. Hmm. It's also possible that I'll intersect it in one place. So I'll have something like this, like a hollow circle. Or I guess this is a ring of allowable velocities. Then there's the case where something like this. Where that is our ring. And this seems like a lot of different cases to handle. Currently, it looks like that. If it moved more towards the center, it would look like that. Ugh. And if it moved further away from the center, it looks like that. This is getting a bit too complex. I'm starting to think that I might not be able to solve this geometrically. I might have to look at another approach. And also maybe have to go back to the article and see if they have a simpler approach for what I'm trying to do. All right. I think nothing is going on in chat now. I think this is probably a good time to wind it down. I would go for a bit longer, but I need to look at this research paper again and see if I can figure out what I should be doing here. So I'm going to have to call it for now, and I will get back with this next week. I don't know how long this will take, but it might be a little bit difficult. So yeah, we'll just have to see what I can figure out here. Anyway, thank you everybody who watched, and thank you DeckPlayer for following. I will, and yeah, check out my latest devlog video where I talk about how I kind of made HyperNav, and then check out HyperNav, the asset, if you're interested. Yeah, hopefully that stuff is helpful, and this steering was somewhat interesting, and hopefully this can be added to HyperNav soon. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.